Thank you for watching Common Sense. Tonight, once again, we've got First Selectman Bob Burke and his Selectman running mate, Bill Slifkin, here on the show before the eve of the Republican primary. Tonight is 9/11, and frankly, it's the 8th anniversary since that awful event. And all I can say is that I hope we don't have to go through something as tragic as that for a very long time, because it has left a lasting legacy. Absolutely.
God bless the kids that are in Iraq and Afghanistan right now.
Right.
Amen to that.
And we're still fighting.
Several from Bethel.
Yeah. Really?
In harm's way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd like to just essentially go out and wish all those servicemen that are from Bethel, that are risking their lives in both Iraq and Afghanistan, wish them a safe return home as soon as possible. And with that,
may the good Lord protect the Blue Star mothers too.
Perfect. Okay. Let's talk about some local issues. The primary is next week, and tonight, frankly, folks, we need to talk about why you need to vote for Bob Burke and Bill Slifkin in this upcoming Republican primary. Now, only Republicans can vote in this primary, but it's absolutely essential that all Republicans vote and essentially cast their vote for the right team to lead this town and continue the progress. And, you know, one thing that really concerns me is that if they do not vote for you, and if you're not on the Republican ticket, and your opponents are on that ticket, both the Republican opponents that you are currently running against and the Democrat candidates, both of those teams don't have the expertise and the experience collectively that you two have to be able to run this town and continue all the ongoing work and all the ongoing fiscal accountability, and maintain that fiscal accountability from the next day that you're elected. So in other words, what happens is the day after you're elected, there's no change. You just continue. And that's something that's extremely important because of the economic times that we live in.
Let me explain it to you very simply. Both sets of opponents, in particular the Republican opponents, tout their corporate abilities. They worked within budgets. Mr. Slifkin and I, Mr. Slifkin in corporate, and myself for the town of Bethel, and my own private company, and also corporate, create budgets that our opponents have to live within. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Right. The other thing that concerns me is that both of your opponents, Bob, are Board of Ed members, and both of your opponents have clearly demonstrated a certain
an inability to zero a budget.
Well, not only that, but a certain favoritism toward Dr. Chesley and his agenda. And that scares me, and it scares a lot of other people in this town. Why? Because Dr. Chesley, just to say it out loud, is not a town resident. He's an out-of-town resident. He's the highest-paid employee in the town. And what scares me is that you've got someone there who essentially would be having some level of influence, more so than normal, with the First Selectman's office. Whereas the First Selectman is an elected official, duly elected by people. And what concerns me is that in your 4 years, you have always advocated for the people of Bethel. You have never been influenced by special interest groups. And frankly, the times that you've gotten into pitched battles is with people who were trying to influence you.
Absolutely. Unduly over the majority.
When you ran for office 4 years ago, you advocated the elimination of pay-to-play.
Absolutely.
It was eliminated within the first 6 months of the new year, that first year. When you got re-elected 2 years ago, the new Board of Ed, which you got elected because they got on your, they got elected on your coattails, they voted to reinstitute pay-to-play. You made a passion plea to the Board of Ed. You also spent your own money to call all the parents and have them also
Make a plea.
make a plea. That's what you're all about. You're a man of your
Absolutely.
convictions, and you got roundly criticized by the Board of Ed, who didn't appreciate the fact.
Who am I to handle a put out a robocall that brings people to a government meeting to express their opinion? And my robocall was very clear. Please come tonight and join me, if you would, to advocate against pay-to-play.
But that was a classic example of why you deserve to be reelected. That is a classic example because you never forgot what your mission is and who you
We made a
represent.
covenant with the people of Bethel to get elected that there would be no pay-to-play.
There were a lot of people that were there that night, including myself, and we were allowed to speak for 2 minutes. That was it. You know, the Board of Education has a policy, you can only talk for 2 minutes, even during public comment. But
That's wrong, too.
that's another issue for another day, but pay-to-play should not be in Bethel. There's a lot of kids that play sports. I've been involved in sports my entire life, and they can't afford. The parents cannot afford. They're single parents, or they're working at night. They can't make the payments, so they have no way to allow their children to play sports. And sports is an integral part of high school. It always has been and always will be, and it helps the character of individuals to grow up. I played
Team
sports in high school. My parents were poor, so I know that if we had pay to play where I went to high school, I never would have played. I never would have played baseball. Never.
So in these hard times, when parents are experiencing even more economic difficulties than in prior years, they're going to be asked to try
And pay more money.
pay more money
Yeah.
just to have their kids play team
It's
sports.
wrong.
And you guys are against that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Would you have a child pay to take algebra? Would you have a child pay to take English? Would you have a child pay to take a language? Why isn't baseball or football or basketball or lacrosse or soccer part of your education? Why should that physical competition, that team sport, that ability, that gives you a sense of community? When you're studying an algebra book, you don't have a sense of community from algebra. You have a sense of knowledge from your algebra.
You know, Bob, you raised an issue about why everybody should vote for us and not for our opponents.
Absolutely.
And, you know, our opponents have made comments, well, we need to take a look at spending more money for education because the future of everybody is our children and education. That follows.
Absolutely.
But look at what happened last year. Zero budget increase. They spent the same amount of money that they had in the prior year, and all the test scores went up. That was in the paper last month. So what does that prove? It proves that the teachers are the key to everything,
Right.
not just spending money.
It's the curriculum and how you apply it.
That's right.
Not necessarily.
We have good teachers.
Right.
Plus, you have a higher unemployment rate than normally you have, so you probably have more parents home than you used to have. So now you have the parent at home with the child, probably helping the child a little bit more. The test grades went up.
That could be part of it as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of common sense that can be applied here. Our generation, Bill and my generation, we came home, if we were blessed, we had grandparents. Because the grandparents didn't go to homes and assisted living. The assisted living was in the house with the
That's it.
family. And boy, your grandmother, you didn't want to wrestle with your grandmother. Because I had a little Irish grandmother with these just watery blue eyes that would grin at me and taught me how to box.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm firmly convinced that if the both of you win the Republican primary, you will win the general election. Because the people of Bethel are convinced of one thing, Bob, that you always tell the truth, and the times when you've gotten your Irish up, frankly, where people have accused you of being a bully, it's because you are being, essentially being
bullied,
deceived,
yeah.
and you don't
Can't
appreciate
stand
that.
I do not Appreciate that.
No, you don't.
I'll work with. Tell me the truth. I'll do anything for you.
But if someone deceives you, or you sense that you're being deceived, well, that's when you, in fact, get your Irish up.
Oh, I get mad.
Right.
I get mad.
Because you've got a covenant with the people of Bethel to essentially seek the truth and to get the details right. And
The first time I ran, I told them what I would do. I did it. The second time I ran, I told them what I'd do. I did it. The third time I'm making an attempt to run, I'm telling you what I'll do. I'll hold your budgets in line, and I'll try to increase our revenue source. I'm looking any way I can to increase revenue. And I'm scared to death because we get $8 million a year from the state. We don't have a state budget. We don't know if that $8 million is going to stay in place.
Absolutely. I mean, that's...
And none of our neighbors get as much, except for Danbury, and that's a whole different beast. It's a different animal.
Right.
But Reading, Ridgefield, Brookfield gets $2 million.
What most people don't realize is that during your 4 years, you have applied and or accepted close to $5 million in grants.
Yeah.
That's a fact that
Nobody's
very few people
done that.
understand.
Nobody's done that.
Absolutely. Bill,
Plus,
why...
in my 4 years, too, I've given every benefit I could to the veteran, and I tried to maximize the seniors to the best
Again,
of my
you've
ability.
stretched those dollars and gotten more for less.
Exactly.
That's really what it's all about in your 4 years of management.
I made
this
our
town.
senior center more comfortable with air conditioning in the dining room. There's a lot of things that I do looking out for the health and well-being of people.
Right.
This is the first winter that we haven't had people homeless in the town of Bethel.
Thank God. Bill, you know, we focused a lot on Bob, but let's focus on you a little bit.
Okay.
Why do you think the people of Bethel, or the Republicans, for now, should vote for you instead of your opponent?
Well, I offer a clear choice, a difference between the incumbent selectman that Bob chose not to run again with. First of all, I'm a man of results. I've been on the high school building committee. I was the chairman. I took over for somebody, and we got the job done. We got it on time, on budget. Prior to that, I was on the Charter Revision Commission, spent 16 months on that with you. And we developed a new charter, including the split budget, and I was very proud of my contributions on that. In addition, I'm on the Board of Finance, and we've pushed through a zero-based budget, except for the bonding increase. But when you look at my record, including all the work that I've done, volunteer work in baseball over the past 30 years, and improvement of the fields, and raised money with no cost to the town, and every other project that I've ever been in has always been done, I challenge my opponent to come up with one thing that he's done except to prove everything that Bob recommended. I throw that out. What has he done besides say yes?
Interesting. Now, you had some other observations that apparently occurred during some of your town committee meetings.
Yes.
Can you share those with the viewers? I know it's a political observation, but
it's purely political, but my opponent was giving the selectmen's report at the last meeting. And during that, he mentioned that the work on the South Street firehouse was stalled, that no work had been done since February, and that the contractors haven't been paid, et cetera, et cetera. So then he was fielding questions from the committee, and they'd ask him, well, who's the contractor? I don't know. Well, why are we in this situation? Well, I don't know. And every question was answered with, I don't know. And then I got a little concerned, and I went the next day. I saw Bob and I saw Andrew, and they told me it's about 98% done, and there's a problem with the elevator. They got to fix that, and then the whole building can be done.
So you just identified something, you know,
and if I'm wrong,
very simple statement.
Huge difference.
The next day he came and saw me.
Right.
Mr. Zakowski is happy to report, I don't know.
Hearsay.
yeah.
Third-party information. And you have just identified the biggest reason why you should be elected. Because apparently you aren't happy with just getting told, I don't know.
No, I don't.
You follow
It's not
through.
my nature.
You follow through and you get the facts.
If I had that kind of attitude in General
It's about
Electric,
results.
I never would have been promoted over the years and achieved what I was able to achieve in my corporate life.
Now I see why you picked Bill Slifkin,
Exactly.
because you need someone that is aware of the facts.
He may not know, but he'll find out.
Right, and then share them with you,
Yeah,
because you can't do everything all day long.
because it's not an I,
Right,
It's a we.
it's an us.
And to get everything done for the town.
it's a team. It's a real team concept here.
No I in team.
Right, and he's not satisfied until he gets the details.
Plus, you'll hear people say that, if we meet, it's a quorum.
Well, Mr.
we meet
Satkowski has said
together-
that. In a live show, he said that the reason that he couldn't meet with you is because of that reason.
No,
that
he
it's a
could come
quorum.
in every day. He
Well-
could come in every day. We go in my office, the two of us. We can't meet with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's an illegal meeting. But there's no problem with the two majority selectmen meeting with each other and talking. He doesn't come around.
So why did he say that? Is he just ignorant of the law, or?
I don't know.
You'd have to
He
ask
shows
him
up
that.
4 hours a month
And collects
to
his
a
checks.
couple selectmen's meeting.
Right. He gets his $400.
For that, he gets
back.
$400 a month.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting.
Mr. Slifkin shows up every day,
For nothing.
gets nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do buy him a coffee on occasion.
Okay. The voters of Bethel,
If
what
I
can
got a
they...
donut, he steals the donut.
Right.
I have to watch my sugar.
You guys are something else. What can the voters expect if you guys are elected?
Results. Get up, we'll go to work. I guarantee you, he'll have breakfast at O'Neill's in the morning,
Right.
and by 9:30 he'll be in my office.
Discussing
And,
the day's
yeah.
business. Right.
We'll talk a little
Probably be
baseball,
there earlier.
and, he'll check on Park and Rec and baseball.
So they'll actually get a real selectman team
Absolutely.
versus what they've had in the last 4 years, which is basically just someone that shows up every 2 weeks
Yeah,
and seconds
absolutely.
your motions and doesn't follow through. I see the point very clearly. With respect to the taxes, what can the people of Bethel expect?
I'll do the best I can to keep them as low as I can, and I'll do the best I can to respect my seniors and my veterans.
Now, this past budget season, you passed the lowest budget in Bethel's history, as far as anyone can tell, which was a sub-zero budget for the most part during these hard economic times. So that speaks to being responsive. Is that something they can expect on a forward basis?
I'm not going to promise you I can keep it at sub-zero.
Right,
I mean,
and
I
why is
can't
that?
control the cost of asphalt. I can't control the cost of oil. I can't. I'll tell you right now, we're headed because I have my oil less than I did last year. I have my gasoline less than I did last year. I have my electricity, my power less than I did last year. I'm still getting money from generation because I have generators that we sell to the grid, and they're going to pay for themselves at the end of about 5 years. So we're headed in that direction. We've already made a savings on some of our liability insurance again, because now is the time. You're in a poor economy. Take advantage of it. My father used to tell a story about an old Irish politician. And he went up to Mr. Murphy, and he said, Mr. Murphy, you're going to vote for me this year? He says, I don't know. He says, well, I gave your brother a job. He says, you did that. He says, I gave your cousin a job. You did that. Yeah. He says, so you're going to be voting for me? He says, well, what are you going to do for me tomorrow? And I'm not a politician. I'll never be a politician.
No, you've proven that.
But I'll look.
You're too honest to
I get in too much trouble, but I will promise you this. I'll look out for tomorrow. I've done it. I've proven it. Bill and I have delivered results.
Well said. Well said.
I'll look out for tomorrow.
Absolutely
Can't
well
do anything about yesterday. It's done.
I don't know where to go from here. There's so much to say. All I can tell you is that it's been an interesting and sad season, and your opponents seem to be focused on insults versus results.
Call me a dirty name.
Right.
I think you could say it's character assassination.
Absolutely, because
and
in
it's-
absence of being able to
They can't-
provide anything better,
That's right.
that's all they have. You know, you guys have done it. You've proven yourselves, and it's up to the voters to see through that and realize that in these times, they need to go with the team that has proven themselves, from what I can see. That's the important thing that they need to realize. They need to ignore all the rumors, and they just need to focus on what have you and what have you, Bill, done for this town. Bill, you built my high school. Bob's done everything else.
$32 million high school
Right.
that they voted on and they wanted. They drew it, he built it.
Right. Mr. Satkowski recently said that, complained in one of his shows that you don't spend enough time getting cozy with the Board of Ed, who's responsible for 65% of our budget.
70%.
70% of our budget. And apparently that's some sort of a dig on you, and I can't quite understand what he's saying, except
Not
for
my
the fact...
job. That's why we vote for members on the Board of Education.
It seems to me that he's saying that you aren't, frankly, you're not patronizing the superintendent of schools enough.
He doesn't
or the
work
Board
for
of
me.
Ed.
He doesn't work for me.
Right.
He works for the people of Bethel through the Board of Education.
Right. With respect to checks and balances, I think, how important do you think it is that the first selectman stays neutral and protects the town's best interests in terms versus becoming cozy with the Board of Ed?
It was said at this year's town meeting on the budget. Board of Education is responsible for some 3,000 people. First selectman of the town of Bethel is responsible for some 18,700 people. I think that answers your question.
Right. Right. And because of the fact that you have no control over their portion of the budget except for the bottom line,
70%.
there is no management issue
I have no
involved.
management opportunity.
Absolutely. So when you get criticized for having a bad or poor management style, that also is a deceptive complaint as
If
well.
I think something improper is happening, as the chief elected official of Bethel, I am all over it. All over it.
That doesn't matter whether it's the Board of Ed or the town side or whatever. He just takes care of any problems that arise.
Right. Bill, you seem like you're naturally a very calm individual. Is that because you're on the show here tonight? 'Cause it's,
I don't know. Sometimes I get upset. I mean,
I heard him say, "Oh shucks," twice.
Oh, stop. I don't know that I'm calm all the time,
Right.
but learned a lot at GE and how to handle myself.
Right. But since you guys talk almost every day, you've developed a very comfortable working relationship in terms
Yeah,
of being
you know,
able to...
and we don't
discuss
always
issues.
agree,
Right.
but we agree to disagree certain times.
So you come at it from different points of
Yeah.
view sometimes. But the net result of it is you find a solution.
We find a solution and we get the job done.
Yeah.
And
See,
that's
I
what
have
the
no-
people of Bethel want.
Right.
They want things to get done. They don't want to hear excuses.
Right. Bob?
I have no trouble, with, and it's not the argument, the discussion. The discussion on how it's to be done. And then the compromise. I believe it was Alexander Hamilton, one of the great founding fathers of this country, that was always about compromise. Man like Adams wouldn't compromise. Adams and Jefferson were at odds. And Hamilton's the one that compromised. He's the one that brought them together and compromised.
What do you say to your opponents who seem to be attacking you so viciously, personally and otherwise?
Shame on them, and I'll pray for them. False witness is always improper.
And Bill, what do you say?
I don't like it. I have no respect for people that just attack people without facts, and they ought to stop. Let's talk about what we're going to do for the people of Bethel.
That's the part that I can't quite get my hands around. What is so important about the political arena in Bethel that would reduce people
I
to
don't-
attacking people
I
personally?
can't
What's so important?
fathom it. I don't understand it.
Is there some pot of gold at the end of the rainbow?
No,
that they're missing?
I think they're jealous that Bob has done everything that he set out to do in the last 4 years. And what are they going to run on? They can only attack him. There's nothing else. What are they going to do that he hasn't done?
Or they can essentially say that they'll do it, but frankly...
But he's already done it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really is up to the voters at this point.
Absolutely.
You know, it's up to the
Totally.
voters.
But that's where it's supposed to be.
Right.
This is democracy.
Tell them the truth, let them vote.
Let me ask you guys a tough question. What happens if Bob wins and Satkowski wins? Because you're on different
It's going to be
lines.
an unhappy 2 years, I'll tell you that. You can't disrespect the vote of the people. But God, I hope they don't do that to me.
Yeah. The right thing to do is what?
Oh, I need Bill Slifkin with me.
Right.
Please don't make me do this for 2 more years by myself again.
Okay.
Don't do that to me.
We're running out of time here, guys, and this is that moment where you have to look yourself in the mirror or in the camera and talk to the voters. Bob, I'll let you go first.
Look in the camera. I don't like cameras. I'm asking for your vote. I guess I'm supposed to do that, and I am doing it. If you vote for me, I'll do the best possible job I can, which is what I've done for the last 4 years. I'll tell you the truth, and I'll let you vote. And I'll try to be a little gentler. I'm told I get a little mad. Give me Bill Slifkin to run with. Give me Bill Slifkin to work with. Let me do the job for you again. And I'll do the best job I possibly can for you.
Thanks. Bill?
To the voters of Bethel, I pledge my continuing efforts to help everybody in this town, as I've proven over the past 30 years. I want to continue to work with Bob. We can do a great thing for this town. And I want all of you to come out and vote. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've run out of time, and now it's up to you, voters. You have the last word in this particular primary. I'll see you on September 15th, Wednesday. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And remember, Republicans, come out and express your vote.
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 15th.
I'm sorry, Tuesday the 15th.
Yeah, don't come out
Doesn't
on...
do me any good to get elected on the
Okay.
15th, which
Thanks.
is a Wednesday.
Goodbye.